And now, one of the panels that we spoke so much in this edition of Thinking Football Summit to speak about the post-career and all the planning that has to be done at the moment that the player leaves his sketchers and prepares him to another phase of the life, professional and personal. And we have Patrice Evra, we have Ricardo Pereira, the president of FIFPro, David Aganzo. We have Joaquim Evangelista, and of course, moderating this panel and with a lot of experience in football, Luis Vilara. They are going to join us here on the stage. And I don't know if there's a little diversity, so if you have any need, we have equipment to do the translation.
So, 67% of the players don't know what they are going to do when they finish their career. 46% of the young players, they just don't care about what they are going to do when they end up their career. 35%, only 35% speaks openly about the conditions of the post-career. 21 of the retired players, they confess to be pleased with their post-career conditions, only 25, and only 7% of the players are connected to own business. So this is the topic we're going to talk about. Meu nome é Luís, irei falar.
My name is Luis. I will speak whatever language according to our guests. And if you have any doubts, just ask. You also have the translation.
David,
With us, David, the president of FIFPro. Thank you, David. You were a player of Real Madrid. You did 5 matches on the first team, but you were also international in all the education. You have been of sub 21. You have been champion and now president of FIFPro. Joaquim Evangelista, president of the syndicate of the players of football. You also are referee. Thank you for being here with us. Patrice Evra.
Probably as a former professional player, 273 games on United, 81 as in France as an international player for France, ex-team captain. But what you need to know is that he's an entrepreneur and an example for players, we believe so.
Thank you.
E also, last but not least, Ricardo. Ricardo é dos grandes jogadores portugueses.
Ricardo is one of the great Portuguese players. Thank you for the way that you represent our players in England. You have been for a long time in Leicester. You also have been in Sporting. You also Benfica too. And I would start with Ricardo. Ricardo, are you worried with the end of your career? What are you going to do? Are you worried about?
Sinceramente, não.
No, to say the truth, no. That was something that happened naturally. Of course, when you're growing up, you listen to stories about professional gamers that are professional players that are good and bad, and we fixate a lot on the bad stories that built their empire, but then they were in businesses, they lost everything, they went through great challenges, and we try to have this as an example so we don't make the same mistakes. And for me, it was something that happened naturally. I never thought about the post career. It just happened. Do you think a football player is prepared to recognize that it's a good or a bad opportunity of investment of some business? In my case, I think it's important to understand what type of business you're getting into. Not being outside, not being there every day, not understanding so much such type of theme, the theme that maybe we're not in there. If I don't understand the subject, I better stay outside. I prefer to have something that I do understand, and I try to save myself. I think it's important not to be inside risks, you know. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges? It's the knowledge, it's the trust. What is it? I would say everything. You have to know, and because we're not able, because we have our careers, and because sometimes we cannot be always there, we need to have someone that we trust. And sometimes it's difficult because if we're known people, we have a lot of people that come with opportunities and with businesses, and we always have to look a little bit behind. The agents, do they help you selecting possible investors? I believe it depends on the case. Some people have more close relationships with their agents, some of them no, so it depends. So I think it's important that we have the opinion of people that have more experience. It can be family, it can be the agents. We need to have the maximum of opinion with people that we trust. So from different perspectives, we can decide. And the last question. Will a football player, now we have models that are a little bit more flexible online, the way that we can learn at our own rhythm. A football player, a professional football player, they have any condition so they can train as work as they are football players, or they cannot do that? Are they available to, although or they don't have no interest? I think that yes, they are available nowadays, with that everything is online and with all the advantage that we have, all our financial resources, to maybe hire someone to have something more specific, to try to understand more about a subject. But of course, the interest, it has to exist. And I think it's not an obligation. Some people want to focus more in their career and think that afterwards. It depends on the people have to do what they understand. It's perfect. Joaquin was already saying yes with his head. No. I was saying hi to Nandinho. I know that you have done something on this field, and I know that the syndicate has already looked about this theme of education, and Joaquin has made a very interesting program.
A little bit, Patrice. Thank you for having us here and be here with us. Um, was it hard for you to manage your own transition? And is it a financial problem? Because we all, at least the ones that are not professional players, we believe it's a financial problem. Because transition, it's a matter of finances. If you have a small fortune, then transition is not a problem. But if you don't, it is a problem. But actually, I've read a few papers on the subject. It's more a psychological problem.
Yeah.
It's a psychological issue. So was it a problem for you, Patrice?
No, at all. I think I'm living my best life right now.
Wow.
I'm more happy now. I'm more content
Round of applause,
than
please.
when I used to play. So I won't pretend, and I know some of my teammates, they suffer about it, and they were like quite anxious. They were saying, Patrice, you will see when your career is over, you don't know what to do. But no, actually, I feel really blessed. I feel like people just see one side of the iceberg, but under it is the human side. And like I say, when I was playing football, people recognized me as a footballer player, but now they know me as a human being. And this is more important than anything. Even sometimes when I do some crazy video on social media, then I see a comment, someone say, wow, Patrice, my dad passed away, but your video make me smile. This is more important than win the Champions League or whatever. So that's the place where I am now. And, I retire at the age of 38. I could have carried on. I still play like some soccer aids game for the children. But right now, everything I'm doing in my life make me more happy than football. And I think I'm lucky and I feel blessed and grateful every day.
Of course, thank you. But that's not at least the common
Yep.
the common
Of course.
the common course.
Yes.
For other football players, they are struggling.
No, they are struggling a lot because, when you play football, when you're on the top of your game, your phone ring like 100 times per day. Soon as it's over, all those friends or even some family member, they disappear. And like you say,
So
sometimes...
it's not a financial issue.
No, it's a social issue, but it's also a financial issue. Because some footballer players, they want to live the same lifestyle they were living when they used to play. But in your bank account, when you stop playing, is minus, minus, minus. When you play, it's always plus. So you always paying. You don't have the feeling you're losing money. So you need to have like a good team, a good entourage. That's where also I'm always grateful to my team because since I retire, they help me also for my finance, for my investment. But like I say, me it was more about being like free. Because when you play football, you are in that little box and you can't do anything else. But right now I'm doing things more important. Being an activist of ending the violence against children, this is more important than anything. But like you say, we need more support for those players because many players finish bankrupt. Like they don't have money after when they retire.
Nowadays, still?
Nowadays, still, I've got like a lot of people you can't even imagine because they didn't manage, because people don't teach you that. Like even at school, they don't teach you how to manage your money. They don't tell you the
How
tax.
should we do it? If
But
they have money, if they are professional players, how can we
They,
intervene?
because they have people around them, and I won't discriminate all the Asian, but some Asians are shark, and they are here just to take your money away. And they realize that when they finish their career, and it's too late. And they didn't study for that. Not like footballer players are clever or they are being in school and study for some. No, you focus on playing football. I'll be honest, I'm here. When I was playing, I never think about when I'm going to retire, what I'm going to do. Because you have to be focused 100% of the present. I don't live in the future because you will live with stress and anxiety. I don't live in the past because you will live with like regret. I'm focused in the present. And if you want to perform, you actually have to be focused on the present. So that's why I don't blame them. It's normal. But fortunately for myself, it's just like I open a new chapter of my life where it gives me even more happiness. But it's not about the money. It's about also what you're going to do next. And if you have I would say the lucky to be a top player I was, then everyone on TV wants you, the brand wants you, the sponsor. But what about the player? They didn't have like a good money, a good salary, average player. And they are the one going in the club pumping bottle of champagne. And that's the worst part. Is not even the top player are living this lifestyle. And they're spending more money because they want people to recognize them. So they're spending money on clothes, on watch, on all of that. So it's really difficult for them.
Okay, what I read on scientific papers was that the issue is around the re-identity, if I can call it like that, a new identity. So the player has to build up a new identity, and that's the worst part of it. But let me just finish. There's a special ingredient in you because you were able to do it with apparently a huge amount of success. So what's the special ingredient to rebrand yourself, to give a new identity for yourself?
I'll be honest, I'm not a genius. It came like that. I won't say something is not true and just lie to make people happy. It's just like, I just feel like, okay, I've been that footballer player. I've been that robot. Because when I play football, I block all my emotion. Even sometimes, I lose my brother and I didn't cry and whatever because I was a robot. I was a winning machine. Then now I just discover myself as a human being. I get rid of my toxic masculinity. A lot of things change. I feel like I'm discovering myself. So that's why I'm doing things will make me more happy right now. But to tell you like the secret, no. I really don't have the secret. But in one moment, like you say, I panic because I was doing like pundit. I write my book. I was an activist against the children. And when people ask me, but Patrice, what you doing in life? I didn't know because I'm doing like so many things. So I spoke with my
You
team.
were searching for the identity.
Exactly. I say, hold on. Like what I'm doing now. Before I was programmed, wake up, eat football, sleep football, train football, whatever, that's it. But now I'm doing so many training, and they were like, Patrice is no man, calm down. So now, for 3 years now, I know exactly. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what makes me happy. And that's the most important. I feel content and blessed and grateful. That's why when people meet me and say, Patrice, how are you? And I say, I'm still alive, they all laugh.
What makes you happy, Patrice?
People make me happy. When that's the way my mom teach me. When people are happy, that's what makes me happy. I feel blessed. And I've got so many things in my life. And you know, for people write my book, I'm not here to selling my book. But if you have time, go to buy it. But you know, I come from a place
Patrice
where
needs money, come on, guys.
I just
It's a
need
financial
I
issue.
just need your happiness. But you know, when I was that 13 years old and begging money to buy a sandwich, I was still that happy child. So that's why today, sometimes I even look at the sky and, you know, thanks to God or the universe, I'm like, why me? Why I get so much overwhelmed? You know, I'm going to New York again in a few days to have a speech at the UN. Oh, I will think that boy like will speak on the most like, you know, most powerful platform in the world. And actually now I'm an activist of ending the violence against children. And that's what make me, that's my mission right now. And I receive so much, and it will be selfish to not give back. And I've got my coach license. You know, Ferguson was like, Patrice, you're going to be one of the greatest managers. I came back to football, so I invest in Australia,
that's
Amadora.
not the-
So I hope it's big fan love for Australia here.
Yeah.
But it's just like I'm doing things bigger than football right now.
Great, great to have you. David, vamos a hablar un poco contigo.
Now let's speak a little bit with you. How is the theme of the tradition of the transition of the post-career? How is that working? Is it a global problem with the players? Well, after listening to all of this, this the transition of going from the sports career to the real world. It's an issue that we have of FIFPro or the syndicates, because we know that our career is very short, and we need to get used to it, and we need to adapt to the next life, so to call it. So from FIFPro, we have agreements with FIFA to try and understand and have this connection in an active way, so that all the players can have that opportunity to get trained. A lot of us, we did choose to be at the sports, and we decided to be very close to football. We want to be directors, we want to be coaches, and it's truth that in UEFA, in Europe, and FIFA, we have all of this training courses. And we also have to think about mental health. That's very important. We understand it's a problem. It's still a problem to the ex-players. It's very difficult. Patrice is saying yes. We have an example of two fellows that they had to go from the active. I was also in active, and now I'm president of FIFPro. But this transition, this way of seeing our life, or taking care of us, of being the focus at national and international life, there is a moment where football goes very fast, and you're no longer the player, you're no longer the important part, and it's difficult to manage this. It's difficult to manage with 20 years in England, France, whatever place you go, very young, at a very young age, to play at the maximum level, to face great players, have the capacity to assume certain risks, being so young, or win so much money, and to invest or to have some money for the future. And FIFPro and Joaquim also does that in Portugal, or like that what I have in Spain. Those boys, have to have this ease in us, and they have this understanding that their career is very short and they have to be prepared for the afterwards. Not all of them, and you have actions and missions. We have specific programs in Spain, for instance. We have partnerships in Spain with all companions, with women and men. Although the women had a different evolution, different from the boys, they had a double work because sometimes they're not professionals at their country, so they had to study, and they also football players. But in the case in Portugal, the cases that we have here, we have dedicated that they can focus in their career, but they also have the mentality that in 10, 15 years, they will have to get out and they have to retire to be presidents, directors, whatever they desire. So in Spain, we have a lot of projects. We make them go to other countries so they can train. We have convenience with FIFPro, so they can do their masters, so they can be close to the world that they decide. And this is a very important theme, the mental health. We have a study in FIFPro that not only in football players, in all the sports people, after career, the post-career, the mental issue, we have to control how you can prepare to speak more about you, and also in that transition, in that change to your future life. There are a lot of sports people that die. There are a lot of people that has mental issues that are not identified with what they have been and what they are, and there are a lot of suicides. So this is a very important theme. So we're talking about suicides, about ex-football players, ex-sports people of all the sports. They can be runners, athletes. In Spain, I have a very important case. He was a runner that's very recognized in Spain, and where they couldn't manage their mind, they couldn't control it very well, and it's a very important theme. And we need to make emphasis, the psychologists, the professionals of the mind. It's not only the psychologists. You don't go there because you're crazy. In Portugal, I don't know, but in Spain, that figure of the psychologist that didn't exist 30 years ago, I do understand, but when the football player is playing, he has the interest that can be at the top of his game. So you have the psychologist, the club plays the doctor, but when the football player is not there at his top game, nobody wants to know about him. Who is going to pay the psychologist? Who is going to put that structure, that physical and technical and human structure, so that the football player can have the access? Is it FIFPro? Is it the syndicate? Who is going to do this? We from FIFPro, we try to have this mind with FIFA and UEFA and all in the different divisions, the different continents. We have a lot of, it's not very well leveled. And in FIFA, Portugal, Spain, England, the syndicates that they have, they worry a lot about their football players. But in Africa, for instance, Asia and South America, we have a program that's Educa, that they all have their platform where we have a lot of football players, where we have a lot of football players that are training to have a future. And in Spain, we have psychologists that are specialized, that are at this position of all our football players, that any doubt that they have, they can speak with them. And the football players, are they looking for those psychologists? Yes, we have, it's personal data. We cannot speak about it. They're very sensible data, but yes. But we have a lot of work because the world of football, it's evolving. In any panel, we see how the football is evolving from 20 years ago. It has changed a lot. And the theme of nutrition, of the sports parts, now they have athletes, and the mind it has entered in this world, and it's something that we need to talk about in FIFA, in Europe, international level. We know about this, and we are very worried because we have a lot of programs that we're very proud of them, but we need much more so that people can understand the situation. Of course, you agree that training, academic training is very important. And with all the experience, all the vision, how are you seeing the great academies of football that we have through Europe, above all from Spain? How are the technicals of career, are they compatible, the studies from the training? Are we doing something, or is only an idea, but no one does nothing because the players don't want to do and the academy is not giving it? The clubs, they understand much more what is the career. I come from Real Madrid. I had my development as a football player to have that challenge of playing in other clubs, and the clubs, I understand, has changed a lot of retiring this. And now the coaches, they are more developed, and now we have this idea that we can apply. And me personally, there's a part that we're missing, because the theme of the schools is fantastic, where a boy with 3-4 years old, they already have the first contacts with the ball. And we used to play in the streets. We didn't have the options to be at that school. And there's a part that we lose the essence of football, because when you are in the streets, we could compete with everyone. It didn't matter if he was short, tall, and you had to find resources to play. Now we're speaking more about technicalities, about that the boy, they teach them how to think, and sometimes the boy needs to think alone to try and search a solution. And this is important, that the clubs, the leagues and the syndicates, there are much more professionals, because they demand from football. And so there's a difference of these fellows that are mundial and the other ones. It's not the same. It's almost the same, because the tactical and the physical, it's very similar, and the differences are being more reduced. Thanks, David. And now, Joaquim. We have been in a lot of other panels. In Portugal, how are we doing in this Cantera situation? How do you see the Portuguese situation? Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here with Ricardo, Patrice, David. I was saying hi to Nandinho. This is an example of how we do the transition. And I was also looking at David Simon, that today he's doing the post-graduation and professional football that the league is offering in the sports universe. David is going to do it, but last year was Bracali, Fabio. We have Claudio Ramos of Porto. And I wanted to start there. I'm going to talk about mental health, but I want to start with education. Education for us is a great priority. It's the priority for Europe and for sports. And this is what I see myself. Culturally, doing a long of years, football and education, they weren't seeing eye to eye. The culture demanded the players, they compromised, the full-time compromise. And so they didn't have an education that was integrated. And the study that you referred of, FIFPro, the main causes for the insuccess of those players was the divorce. It was the divorce, the spousal divorce, because many players are not even prepared to be with their spouses, because the football demanded so much. And when a man takes to have a relationship with their family full time, it's a problem, because he wasn't prepared. So apart from the financial issues, that was the main issue, and this is all resumed to education. What we understood is that we needed to have an holistic vision of the football player. He has to prepare on his education, see social responsibility, his marriage, everything. And so the football player was a minor human being. He was minor in society, and only now when the football players, because the clubs came afterwards, and now universities are helping us, but the clubs, there was this culture that made it impossible for the football players to study. And because the clubs saw that the football players, they were very popular, they were very mediatic, and that was threatening. Even nowadays, you see how difficult it was for Rui Costa to be a president, or Vitor Bahia from being from Porto. There is a lot of constraints because there are things in football that are difficult to break, and I'm speaking about the Portuguese reality. In 2011, we offered to the football players to study during their activity so then they could do other things. But in 2011, what happened, there was elections on the Portuguese Federation. Fernando Gomes was elected, and he was elected. Us as syndicate, we demanded that the players were represented on the direction. João Vieira Pinto, Paulenta, Humberto Coelho, they were the first sign that football players could be in the management. And from now we have Elder Postiga there on the federation. We have a lot of players in the clubs. And what does that bring to us? How this help the transition of the football player? Do they have that sensibility? Do they implement new politics in that sense? What the union understands, and is that if you can be a star, but that does not give you, not guarantee from that point of view. So you have to say to the football players that they have to get prepared. And in university, you have a lot of former football players that are now studying. We have a lot of examples. We have Tarantini, for instance, that made his PhD. I was a member of the jury. So we have a lot of football players. And in our magazine, if you go to our website, every 15 days, we promote a football player in the area of the education. But do you agree, Joaquim, that we're speaking about a few? Yes, but we need to start in a place. We have to convince the football players that they have to qualify. And if that is right, you cannot wait for the people to do it for you. When we do this, and when we need to obligate the players to be responsible on their businesses, celebrating their contracts. Yes, independent of the marriage, he has to be part of the process. He has to be active in his family, in his businesses. He has to be active on society. You're not going to solve his problems. It's him that's going to do it. So you have to qualify him. You have to give him tools. But the football players, they don't want it. How are you going to do this? I have a lot of examples. Carlos Fernandes, for instance, that finished his career, and a lot of them finished their career, and they don't have the tools to continue with their career. It has to be their friends. But their friends, according to Patrice, sometimes they disappear at the end of the career. You're a citizen as any other player. You didn't invent nothing. It was your parents that educated you. So the football players, they have the same social context as you. So they can do what you do, what I did. But we have to give them opportunities to do it. First of all, we have to give them the knowledge, and then we have to help them to do that path. But we can't do it for them. But that makes the difference. Their examples are not only for children. The examples of football players like Evra that have success. Now I have a football player that's Nuno Maniche. Maniche is an example of success. He made a transition. He was a former football player. with great results. And he created a brand of wine that has a lot of success. That's Quinta da Pacheca. He prepared himself during 5 years, and he simply Luis Figo that I spoke in the last week because of the elections of the federations. Why can't football players? Why can they can be presidents of clubs, federations, of several organisms? It can happen. If you want to be commentaries, it's difficult. But Diogo Luis, for instance, Diogo Luis is your fellow, and it's a great example. We need to speak more about them. We need to speak about the football players that are examples, and we have to use them as a flag. And let me talk about something. Let's do a last round.
Just for the top measures that we need to take. Politically, sportive, personally, whatever you want. So each one of you give me just like 3 measures we need to do urgently. I will start with you, Patrice, and then we go on. David, tres medidas que hay que implementar ya.
3 measures that we need to implement now so that things continue to work. So let's go here with a message to take now. Well, the first thing that I would do is equality between men and women. This has to be global. Transparency in the institutions would be another very important point. And above all, that in the world of football, that we would have voice and vote. Voice and vote. And all the institutions that we have to speak about football. I think it's very important that they have representativity, because every time I say this and I defend this idea, at the end, without football players, there's no football. You can be the president of FIFPro, of whatever you want, but the people want to see the gift of those football players, women and men, and the institutions need to protect them and need to have what they think, and above all, that the industry needs to work better, that the personal part goes apart and the political part can be in another part, and that we can fight for a healthy sport. Patrice?
Recommend urgently for the institutions or the politicians.
No, but first of all, like he said, I think education. Education is the key, is the most important thing. Then the club also support.
We're not going.
Sorry. And all the big organization also, they need to understand players are not just toys and you play with it and when they finish, you just get rid of them. They are human beings. That's why when I had my time at Juventus, I love it. They said, Patrice, we know you're a great left back, whatever, but the most important, we want you to leave this place saying we give everything for you as a human being. So this is really important. And also to help each other. Like, I am here because I want to support like the people that didn't have the same faith as me. My transition, like I said, was the most easy things, the most easy decision I made in my life. But why I'm here? Because I know many players I play with, they didn't have that luck. And that's why all they're doing the job, educate those players, like support them. This is really important. But it's so many things. But I just say, put it on your agenda. Prioritize it on your agenda. Exactly. Because people ask like strategy, whatever. No, just say, this is the priority. And things will move on.
Highly connected what David was saying. Joaquim, any measure you would like to, alguma medida que gostaria?
Any measure that you would like to happen and it's not happening? Instead of idolizing the game, the football players, we have to respect them. This is the first measure. The second thing in this case of education, we need to create numbers, not in the universities, in the organs, of management organs, for the football players. We need to give them conditions. We need to pay their education. I made this training with coaches, with referees, sorry, And this year even, so we had another resource for the referees. We made a protocol, and I asked who wants to do this training, this formation. And it's very important. The career of referee is very well paid, and only one said that wanted to do this. Do you know how I solved this? I said, I'm going to pay this for you. And 14 people did this. So we invested on education. We need to invest in education of the football players, women and men. And the equality of gender could also be very interesting in sports, so we could have more actors, main actors, so then they could make the functions in an area where they can bring experience that no one else has. So this is what I see that's very important. I think from the point of view of all the public politics, I think it could be very interesting, this mechanism. I think the federation's already doing it. They already have this principle. They get football players, men and women, because they understood this case. Candido, for instance, he is a phenomenon. They don't all have to be entrepreneurs. You can have wine, clothes stores. It doesn't matter. Candido is an example that someone stands up as a main actor, a mediatic main actor. So, and now to finish, Ricardo, what do you feel that would help you, will help your teammates? I think communication is very important. It's important for them to communicate, to talk, because sometimes people don't want to show the weak part. It's important to speak about weaknesses, because if we speak, we learn, we have different perspectives, and I think that can help. That can help the football players. The education is also very important, to educate, to explain how things function, because if we don't know, if no one speaks to us, if no one alerts us for this at school they don't teach us. If they speak to us about this, it's not going to be something new, because at the moment, if it's something I never spoke about it, how I'm going to act now, that's the moment. So it's important to speak, to have knowledge, so that things can improve. Thank you very much. A round of applause here to our speakers. Thank you for your participation. Thank you.